They're both going to be out for a while. Looks like Morrow will be out a little bit longer than White, so that's unfortunate. But we'll have to continue to develop our young linebackers and perhaps find another.
Are we talking regular season opener is iffy at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to announce any injuries until I have to, but obviously we're concerned about them being available.
Does that create an opportunity for Tanner Muse and Divine Diablo at this point?
Well, that's an understatement. Hopefully they rise to the occasion. People have done it before in this league, and Raiders have done that before, so we'll see what happens.
Alleviate some of that concern, in terms of having to maybe look outside the building to.
Yeah, we hope that Nick Kwiatkowski's ready to go next week, and we'll continue to look at the position in its entirety.
John, we've heard you talked a lot about Leatherwood, Mulrig, and Hobbs as far as the 2021 draft class, but as a whole and the rest of the guys, could you just maybe heading into the final preseason game, give your overall assessment, what you like, what you've seen from the guys?
Well, it's all of our young players, last year's class and this year's class kind of combined. But Alex is doing okay. I'm not going to be his agent up here every week. The film's out there. You can evaluate it yourself. We like him. We think Maring's going to be fine. He's doing a good job. He's asserting himself. Got a lot to prove, obviously, both those guys. And as far as the rest of the class, we think Gillespie's coming on as a safety in this defense. We think Nate Hobbs has proven that he's got a chance to help our football team. Diablo's just getting a chance to showcase what he can do. And we think Malcolm is a guy that's going to be a part of our rotation at some point. He's got some ability. But we're anxious to see Arnett. Really anxious to see a second-year class as well.
Yesterday, I'm sure you think is deserved Cliff Branch got to be a finalist. Two-part, I'm sure you think it's deserved, but two, have you ever thought about what Cliff Branch would be in today's game?
Well, Cliff was, I'm glad you bring his name up. We sure miss him. God bless his family. He was one of the brightest Raiders, brightest personalities I've ever met. But he was a threat. I don't think Al Davis, I can't speak for John Madden or Flores or any of the guys that coached him, but I don't think you can measure his impact in catches and pro football focused statistics. He was a threat to go all the way all the time. And if you didn't account for him, they were going to put a bomb on you. They were going to throw it. And if you did account for him, it was better for Casper. It was better for Mervin. It was better for everybody else. Fred will tell you that. So I think, the fact that he was a great guy, a world champion, and a difference maker as a down-the-field receiver, it'd be great to see him get in the Hall of Fame.
One other current one. What has Gus done in your mind? Because the tackle numbers last year in terms of missed. Did he come in specifically to obviously improve that? But what do you think he's done, and how easy is that to improve over the course of a year in terms of just tackling?
Well, we got a lot of new tacklers too. So we got a new staff. We got a lot of new tackler candidates, and it's being emphasized as much or more than it ever has been in our drill work, in our meetings, and hopefully it shows in the game because we got some guys that are going to be really hard to tackle coming right out of the chute. And I'm just going to continue to focus on the 49ers and try to finish the preseason the best we can.
Hey, John, how much with Carl Joseph and Isaiah Johnson, how much of a concern is it the time they missed, and what are their roles you think going forward?
Well, they missed a lot of time, and somebody took their reps. And we have to measure everything as we make our final decisions on who's here and who's isn't. I would hope Isaiah and Carl can go out there and showcase what they can do in this game. We're planning on that, and we're going to end up keeping the right 53.
John, I know Amik was making those transition from outside corner to slot cornerback. He's gotten on the field quite a bit preseason. How has he come along in terms of that transition and where he is on this roster?
Pretty good. He's a guy last year we tried to make a nickel corner. And that's a hard position in this league, as you know, with all the jet sweeps. If that jet sweep starts on the right and jets to the left, there's a good chance you got to bump into the box and be a linebacker. And I think Amik looked at that a little bit, differently when Incognito was blocking him in the box. But now as an outside corner, you see what he is. You see the skill set that he has. He's played better. He's got more confidence. Not that he can't be a nickel because he has worked in there. But he's clearly at home on the outside.
What have you seen Maxx Crosby, he looks very fast and explosive out there.
Yeah, he's wearing a mic today, so you'll be able to hear, everything that he's about. And we got players wearing mics now. It's great. We're on Hard Knocks, so there's all kind of rumors out there about trades we were trying to make. We're a hot story here. Max is doing great though. To answer your question, he's like I say about Hobbs, he has this thing about him. It's just fun to be around him. He likes coming to work. His car, he's got an orange Porsche. Who the hell has an orange Porsche? I pull in here, there's an orange Porsche. I know he's in there. I leave at night, an orange Porsche is here. He's just, he's a weird guy. He's a fun guy. He's a hell of a football player, and thank God we got him.
John, the rule changes, the points of emphasis this year. How noticeable, I guess, is it in the preseason? And in your experience as it carries over to the regular season, what is that like?
Well, they called a taunting call, I think, on us last week, so that's a big point of emphasis. I think it's a good point of emphasis. Who needs that, taunting? It's okay, I guess, to have 7 guys celebrating after an interception. I kind of see that as taunting, but whatever the points of emphasis are, if you're a coach, you have to emphasize it with your team. We brought in the officials to hear the points of emphasis, and we try to coach to that. Obviously, the rule on the outside where the corners can't cut the pulling lineman, that's a completely different rule. We'll see how that's enforced. So to your question, yeah, we listen carefully and try to absorb it and coach it.
Coach, outside of Leatherwood, are there any other potential weak point stars that you want to see more of going against the 49ers?
I can't say what Leatherwood's status is going to be yet either. We're going to go play the 49ers, and we're going to look at the players that we think we have to look at to make the proper evaluation.
John, to piggyback on that, you've stressed since week 1 of training camp that not only picking the right 53, but coming away with 53 healthy bodies. Does it make it a little more difficult now that you're banged up as to who you're rotating in this weekend? Be a little more careful, critical?
Well, you're forced, into that when you lose 2 or 3 linebackers. You don't want to play Corey Littleton 4 quarters necessarily. You got to be smart. You got to be realistic. I saw Jacksonville lost a great back the other night. You have to do what you think you have to do to get your players ready to play. We've had good practices. We had 2 good scrimmages against the Rams. We realize we have 2 of the most physical teams on our schedule to start off with. So we're going to try to add up all the information and do what we think is best for every player and for this team.
I know Tanner was, obviously the strong side base linebacker. Has he shown other tendencies that you feel?
Well, he's had to. He had to. All the linebackers got hurt. White went down. Darren Lees was out. Kwiatkowski was out. Morrow was out. Second half, who's going in? Who's going inside? Diablo's out. Tanner went inside, and give him credit. He's playing Will, he's playing Otto, he's playing 2 or 3 positions, and he's a very good special teams player. And he needs to play. He didn't play it all last year, and he hasn't really been a linebacker for more than 6 months. So this is good for him. Hopefully he gets another good experience against a great offensive football team Sunday.
Excites you about Diablo?
I think he's got athleticism and range, and he has playing speed. He showed very good instincts at Virginia Tech at a couple different positions. So that combination is exciting. We think he and Corey Littleton will give us 2 really athletic young linebackers, and we're hoping he can be a fast track. He's going to have to learn quickly on the run because they're not postponing any of our games. They're delaying the startups.
John, historically the preseason was 4 games, and the 3rd game was always kind of the dress rehearsal for the regular season. With only 3 preseason games, how does that change?
Everything has changed. The number of players, when we cut players, the whole thing has changed. It's not just the number of preseason games. We also have 17 regular season games. The bye weeks have changed. Everything has changed. Nothing stays the same. And it's up to you, Paul. Is it getting better or worse? I'd love to see that piece.
Can I get a quote from you on it then?
Huh?
Can I get a quote from you?
No, I have nothing to say. I just, I just marvel at how football has changed so much, and what you had to do to training camp. We're practicing at 7 a.m. to beat the heat. Nothing's the same for us. I don't know any team in the history of football that starts as early as we do. We had a scrimmage against the Rams at 9:30. Our guys were up ready to go in the lobby at 7. So nothing's the same, and I'm sure it will continue to change, hopefully for the better.
Let's do one more to Sean. How does being thin at linebacker kind of increase the importance for the nickelback to kind of serve as a third linebacker when it comes to stopping the run?
Well, the nickel's not going to be the linebacker. You might have a dime linebacker, a guy that's 215 or 20 pounds, perhaps a Joseph or an Abram, a Gillespie, a guy that can take on blocks, shed blocks, and physically, take the pounding in there. Like T.J. Ward started this several years ago, and now a lot of teams use the extra safety as a dime linebacker. So that's something we're kicking around, and we're going to continue to look at our linebacker situation and do what we think is best for our team. Okay, guys, have a good day.
The UNLV hat.
I never liked it, now you're talking to me.
You too? No one wore a Bulldog hat. Is that V for Villanova or Vic?
Vic. Questions for Derek Carr?
Derek, I know things have changed with the preseason in terms of starters playing and whatnot. Where do you fall on that? I mean, I understand there's prudence in it, obviously, but at the same time, do you want to be out there and playing in those?
The hardest part is you go through pregame. Coach doesn't tell us much, so like we're just trained and ready to go, and then it's like, yeah, you guys aren't playing. Take your pads off, and it's hard, to go from that to that because you're so excited and play. But I understand, I grew up. One of my earliest football memories, honestly, was when Michael Vick broke his ankle, and just how crazy that everyone was like, it was the preseason, all that kind of stuff, and I didn't even know what that meant at the time. But, you see kind of stuff like that. Jordy a couple years ago, his knee and in Pittsburgh, you're like, golly, you don't want AJ just recently on something so simple, but, it's hard to see those things, you know what I mean? And so I understand coaches, not wanting certain guys to play and all that kind of stuff. But as a competitor, you always want to play, but you understand, especially as you get older. You're more understanding as you get older. It's harder on the younger guys. As you get older, you realize how long the season really is. You realize how much football there is still left to be played, and we only have one bye week with an extra game. So again, I just support coach's decision. That's what we do here.
I'm not sure there's a way to quantify it, but do you feel like there's any drawback to it from going into that regular season game as far as sharpness and chemistry and all that kind of stuff?
I used to think that because I'm a reps kind of guy, but I mean, I think I've played one series since Coach Gruden's been here, and we always feel like we're on it. I mean, how we practice. I mean, the level of physicality that we practice with, I mean, I get bumped into sometimes and coach loses his mind and things like that. So the pockets are real. I think that's the main thing for quarterbacks is how does your team practice? We practice and those pockets are real. They're closing in, they're moving, you have to move. Some teams practice where there's just 7 on 7 all day, and then when you get to the game, you're like, yeah, that's not 7 on 7, And then another thing, I think joint practices. I love them. I tell you guys every time, I think I get more out of that than I do out of a preseason game because no one really shows anything. You're just out there running your stuff. The thing I always thought was for the young guys, the emotions of it, right? I've played enough games now where the emotions are what they are. You just go and play now.
Last year, not having the go ahead with it.
Derek, you obviously in tune with your unit. You're going to see guys like Alex, but the whole 2021 draft class and all. Do you sort of kind of take notice, sit back, watch, see how they're getting acclimated, maybe jump in as the leader of the team to maybe if you see something?
Oh, yeah.
Can you just maybe give me an assessment going into the final preseason game of this class?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've done a really good job. I mean, you could tell that us coming in for an offseason helped them, learn the scheme. Obviously, it's a new defensive scheme, so they had to learn that. Any extra reps you can get at our offense, you need it every day. Coaches putting in new things literally every day. We haven't, if you ask these young guys, I don't think we've stopped putting in new plays since they got here, and that's hard as a young guy. So I think that alone has helped them compared to you're good. I wanted to hear what it was. No, but I think that the way that we do things here really helps these guys come along faster. But there have been moments, and I won't say who, but I see someone coming in, 15 minutes before practice, and I'm like, look, when you walk in like that, I've already beat you. You know, I've been here 2 hours, and I'm studying, grinding, watching you on tape. So now I see you walking in way after me, I'm going to beat you. You know, I kind of push them that way. And they're like, oh yeah, yes sir. I'm like, you don't have to say that, you know. But you see that go from that to a guy now having like a professional routine, and then you see him start doing things and performing, and then he's now teaching the other guys. You know, it's just like Coach does. He gives me things, and I go to the locker room and it spreads, right? Same thing when I give something to some guy, or, you know, Marcus gives something, or Nate, or one of the other veteran guys gives something to somebody, and it helps them as a player, man. It spreads to the next guy. Hey, what are you doing? What's that? Oh, man, come with, you know. You see more guys doing the right thing. So I've seen that growth in them, and I've seen them play, you know, not at the highest level, but they're playing at a high level for a young class.
What are you gonna see from Nate Hobbs?
Yeah, I love Nate. He's super competitive. And one thing I've loved about him is his confidence. Let me say it this way, every young DB comes here with confidence. You know what I mean? Yeah, they're the next Dion, and I'm gonna pick you off, and I'm like, okay, buddy. You know, now I've heard that 1,000 times. You know, and they all say it, and I love it. But I more so watch. Obviously, he's made some splash plays, and he's going to be, I think, a really good player in this league. Hopefully, a great one. You know, that'd be good for us, right? But one thing I've seen is when he doesn't win a rep. You know, when he does get embarrassed on a double move or something like that at practice, how does he respond? You know, if he gives up a play in the game, how does he respond? And that guy, among a lot of guys I've been around, does not lose confidence, and that's hard to do in this league at DB. But if you can get to that point where it doesn't matter what happens, this is what I do and this is how I work, it's a real freeing feeling, and you can play better. You know, I spoke about that myself, right? It's free. You know, you play free. From caring about so many things that you just go be you, right? And I've seen that in him, and that's the most impressive thing to me among the big tackles or the big hits or the interception, right? You know, one thing I did say to him before that drive, I said, Nate, go get you one. And I used to say that to a certain number 52, and he would go get a sack, and that man went and got a pick. So hopefully I can say it to him about 16 more times, and we can win some games.
You mentioned last week that you put Alex one-on-one with Donald in the practice, and we went to watch the film. What do you think? How did you do that week against the Rams?
I thought he did really well. I was very impressed, especially young quarterback and tackle are really hard to play in this league as rookies. Because there's so much fundamentals, technique, timing, right? In college, the speed is just different. It just that pocket, you know, it's just different than college, no matter what level you play at. And you know, to watch what he did on the one-on-one situations, not only that, the one-on-one pass rush drills they did on their own, which is hard they can go anywhere, right? You have no slide help, you have no chip help, any of that stuff. And just to watch him compete, that's one thing Coach Cable said when we got him, and it's something that stays true, is that man competes down after down. And even if he, you know, maybe loses a little bit there, I mean, he'll still finish and run a guy off, and just that competitiveness, the drive to be better and the drive to finish, you can win with that guy, you know. And it's exciting. I'm sure he's young, he's a rookie. He may have a few mistakes. We hope not. My chest hopes not, you know. But at the same time, it may happen. But I'm not worried about him showing up every play because he's proven it at least so far through this time.
You're obviously a football historian type anyway, and with Cliff Branch being named as a seniors candidate for the Hall of Fame, how fun would it have been for you to throw the ball to him?
Oh my goodness, yeah. Oh, we used to talk about that, you know. And I know Mr. Davis was really close, you know, with Cliff, and I know that with C. Wood and Charles just now going, and now Cliff is a senior finalist. Is that the correct thing? I know that's probably a fun time for Mr. Davis. I know he probably misses his friend, you know. I wish it was a little sooner. I think we all do, but definitely deserving. But it would have been fun, you know, to rock. You know, I rocked that 21 that one day in Napa, out of respect. Coach Gruden's had us do that a few times, you know, at practice where I'll wear Stabler's jersey, someone will wear a Cliff Branch jersey, you know, all that kind of stuff. That's what this place is, family, you know. And as much as we talk about it, it is what it is. When once a Raider, always a Raider. That's how they treat you here, you know. And you know, so I'm happy, but at the same time, kind of like, dang, you know, couldn't have been sooner, you know, one of those kind of things. But definitely happy, you know, for his friends and his family.
That's good. You had Josh was split wide today. You hit him on the left side. wonder where he is in his development as a receiver. I know someone talked about going into last year.
Yeah.
And kind of developing it this year. Where is he in that development?
Yeah, I mean, you were front row. You saw him being in the right spot. You know, that play, usually guys don't run as hard, you know, when they're in that spot. And you saw he was running pretty fast, when the DB was behind him, And if he doesn't run, I can't throw that ball. There's so much, again, detail that goes into it. But if he doesn't run full speed, that spot that ball needs to be thrown in, he won't be there. And, he's on it. I'll just say that. He's on it. He's doing a really good job. He's working hard at it. And before the Rams game, he's sitting there running all the tight end routes. Whatever route they ran, he ran, And, he's trying to – it's one thing you got to love about our team is you see guys all the time trying to be better at something that maybe they haven't done naturally, right? For me, it was scrambling, right? So we drill the heck out of scrambling. I grab my wideouts, we scramble. He caught a few balls, but at Alabama, what they run power, right? They're running at your face. And now he's trying to get wide and learn how to run routes. He's asking questions. So he's trying to get better at it. And today it was really cool that he caught that because you guys got to see it firsthand, his growth in that area.
Thank you.
Good, thanks.